Virgo, you think this difficult moment you're going through right now is a mathematical error in your life. You, with the mind of a Virgo, have spent the last few nights going over every step, every choice, every word spoken, trying to find exactly where the gears broke. In your head, if there's a problem, there's a logical solution that you simply missed. You blame yourself for not having foreseen it. You blame yourself for not having planned better. You blame yourself for feeling so exhausted when, in theory, you should be the person who solves everything for everyone. But what if I told you that none of this is a mistake? What if this difficult moment, this feeling that the ground has disappeared beneath your feet, isn't a glitch in your system, but rather a direct intervention? There are three celestial forces operating in your life at this very second, and they didn't come to fix what you think is broken. They came to pull you out of this place. The first thing we need to look at is the weight you're carrying. Virgos have this silent habit of adopting other people's chaos and turning it into a personal project. You build fortresses for the people you love, organize the world's mess, and when your own life collapses, you lock yourself in your room and try to solve everything in silence. Asking for help feels like defeat. Showing vulnerability sounds like incompetence. So you continue, day after day, pushing this stone uphill, smiling and saying that everything is under control, while inside there's a scream stuck in your throat. This difficult moment you're going through isn't an accident. It's the limit. The universe needed to allow things to become too heavy so that you would finally be forced to let go. This is where the first of the three celestial forces comes in, the force of inevitable deconstruction. You always tried to keep the walls standing no matter the cost, even when a situation no longer suited you, even when a relationship was draining you of every last drop of energy, even when an environment was sucking your vitality. You stayed. You stayed because Virgo fixes, Virgo improves, Virgo doesn't give up. But this first celestial force acts like a storm wind that rips the roof off the house you insisted on renovating. It takes away the illusion of control. What is crumbling in your life now is not crumbling because you failed. It is crumbling because it wasn't meant to be yours. This force takes away what you don't have the courage to let go of on your own. It pushes you out of your false comfort zone, creating a void that at first is terrifying. You look around and think, and now? What do I do with my time if I'm not solving a problem that consumes me? It's terrifying not to have anything to fix. But pay attention to the space that opens up. This void is not an abyss, it's a blank canvas. But your mind doesn't stop, does it? The internal noise continues. You try to fill this empty space with anxiety, projecting future scenarios, calculating risks that don't even exist yet. Insomnia becomes your companion. Your chest tightens. You want answers for tomorrow, for next month, for next year. And despair begins to take over because you don't have enough data to put together your beloved action plan. How can you get out of this difficult moment if you can't even see the next step? It's a profound discomfort, a feeling of floating in the dark without a compass. It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book. The material is called The Divine Wisdom That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Purposeful Life. And it's not about empty guesswork or magazine astrology. It's a profound manual on the hidden mechanisms of your analytical mind. It teaches exactly how to stop fighting the current and start using emptiness to your advantage. How to decode this incessant need for control and transform it into a sharp, spiritual perception. You are in this state of mental exhaustion, recognizing that your strength alone is no longer enough, that your lists and spreadsheets aren't solving the knot in your chest. This discomfort you feel now is proof that you need new tools, and you need them now. The link is in the first pinned comment, but be aware this content may be taken down. Click now, download your copy. Tell me in the comments, when was the last time you allowed yourself to do absolutely nothing without feeling guilty about it? When the guilt begins to dissipate, you finally come into contact with the second of the three celestial forces that have come to rescue you from this difficult moment, the force of revealing silence. Virgo is a sign ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind, of communication, of uninterrupted analysis. Your head is an engine that never shuts off. But the cure for your current pain will not come from more thinking. It will not come from more reasoning. The second celestial force acts by lowering the volume of the outside world and, in a way, forcing you to be silent. You know those days when you simply don't have the energy to explain anything to anyone. When your cell phone rings and you just want to throw it out the window, that's not depression, that's sacred retreat. It's the universe pulling you inward. In this silence, something profoundly unsettling happens. Without the noise of others' demands, without the distraction of having to save the world, you hear your own voice. Not the critical voice that says you're behind or that you should be better, but the voice of your soul whispering truths you've ignored for years, truths about what you truly want, not what others expect of you. You realize that much of your current suffering stems from the fact that you've lived life to be useful to others, forgetting to be true to yourself. This celestial force confronts you with the mirror. It's brutal. It's painful to see how much you've neglected yourself in the name of perfection and service. You reach a critical point where you need to decide whether you will continue to numb this inner voice with more work and more worry, or whether you will have the courage to sit with your own naked truth. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. By accepting this truth, however harsh it may be, you prepare the ground for the third and final celestial force, the one that effectively pulls you out of this difficult moment. This is the force of healing synchronicity. It's the moment when the universe begins to move the pieces on the board without you having to lift a finger. For a Virgo, believing that something good can happen without exhaustive effort is almost an offense. You were taught to believe that only sweat, tears, and absolute sacrifice bring rewards. But the third force comes to prove you wrong. It comes to show you what grace is. Suddenly things start to fall into place. A door opens where there was once a concrete wall. The right person enters your life at the exact moment. A problem that seemed impossible to solve simply loses its power and dissolves on its own. You watch, somewhat suspicious, waiting for the catch. Your mind says, "This is too easy. Something bad is going to happen." But it won't. The universe is showing you that after so much struggle, after carrying so much weight in silence, you have the right to receive. The third celestial force is divine permission for you to be cared for. Think of it like a river that was blocked by a dam. You spent years building that dam with your own hands, trying to control the flow of the water, trying to prevent it from flooding everything. But the water stagnated, became murky. That difficult moment was the dam breaking. The first celestial force imploded the walls. The second force brought silence after the roar. And now, the third force is the river flowing clean, strong, following its natural course. You don't need to push the river. It already knows where to go. Your only job now is to float. It's to trust the water. It's a gigantic paradox for you, Virgo. Learning to trust life is your greatest challenge, but it's also your absolute liberation. When you finally understand that you don't need to be the architect of every millisecond of your destiny, an indescribable peace invades your chest. Anxiety gives way to a calm curiosity. But of course, the Virgo ego will try to resist. It will try to regain control at the first sign of stability. You'll want to go back to the old mental spreadsheets of how life should be lived. You'll want to analyze synchronicity, dismantle it into parts to see how it works. And that's where the cycle can repeat itself if you're not careful. The real danger isn't the difficult moment returning. but you reverting to being the person who creates their own difficulty because you can't bear the lightness of being guided by something greater. It's terrifying to give up the role of the one who solves everything to become the person who simply lives. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey toward the clarity and genius you deserve. The transition from this place of pain to a place of acceptance changes everything. These three celestial forces are not magical entities floating in the sky. They are profound, universal dynamics that respond to your own need for evolution. The difficult moment was simply the cocoon becoming too tight. You thought you were dying in the darkness, but in reality, you were just finishing forming. Deconstruction, silence, and synchronicity worked together to remind you of something you forgot the moment you decided you needed to be perfect, to be loved. You don't need to be flawless. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to carry the burden of other people's choices. The world won't collapse if you close your eyes and rest. The universe sustains you. The stars don't demand a productivity report to keep shining, and the earth doesn't charge you rent to keep you standing. There is a majestic order in the chaos that your mind often cannot grasp, and that's okay. Your purest beauty lies not in what you can fix, but in the depth of your ability to feel, in your unwavering loyalty to truth, and in the attentive gaze you dedicate to the most invisible details of existence. Allow these forces to finish their work on you. Let go of what needs to go. Be at peace with the silence when it comes, for it is in silence that the dust settles. And above all, keep your heart open to the silent miracles that are already aligning in your direction. This difficult moment is not the end of your story. It is merely the comma that separates your survival phase from your era of true liberation. Trust the unseen. You are exactly where you should be, being guided towards the lightest, brightest, and most whole version of who you were born to be. The storm has passed. Now just let the light in. And when that light finally enters, it doesn't arrive with fanfare. It doesn't break down the door of your perception, nor does it demand that you change overnight. It seeps through the cracks that your deepest pain has opened, warming first the coldest and most forgotten corners of your soul, those exact places where you kept the secret fear of never being enough. You will notice this in the most banal and everyday things. One day, you will wake up and realize that the first breath of the morning wasn't accompanied by that suffocating urgency to solve a problem that doesn't even exist yet. You will notice that the coffee tastes different, that the wind on your face seems like an invitation and not an obstacle, and that the sun, illuminating the dancing dust near the window, is a private spectacle made just for you. This is the true magic of your silent transformation, the extraordinary revealing itself through the ordinary, the sanctity of the present moment blossoming before your weary eyes. But beware of the insidious trap of old comforts. There will be days, especially at the beginning, when the absence of chaos will seem strange, almost unbearable. Your mind, addicted for years to the adrenaline of survival and conflict, will try to find problems where there is only peace. It will whisper in your ear that this tranquility is a temporary illusion, that at any moment the rug will be pulled out from under your feet and that you need to be armed. When this happens, don't fight this defensive voice. Embrace it as you would embrace an exhausted and frightened child. Tell yourself, I understand you're trying to protect me, but we don't need this heavy armor anymore. We are safe now. True bravery is not about never feeling fear again, but about choosing to walk towards lightness even when the shadows of the past try to tug at your hem, begging you to return to the familiar well of anxiety. You will begin to realize with immense relief that your inner space has drastically changed. Before, your mind was a cramped, dark room cluttered with everyone's expectations, with the voices of those who dictated the rules about how you should live, love, and work. Now that inner space has transformed into an open, illuminated and infinite field. There is room to breathe, to daydream, to experiment, and above all to simply be. And it is in this open field that you will come face to face with your own vulnerability. For a long time, you firmly believed that being vulnerable was the exact synonym for being weak, that exposing your wounds and doubts was giving the world the perfect knife to cut them even deeper. But now, through the lens of this new awareness, you understand that vulnerability is the absolute gateway to true connection and authentic power. It is only when we drop the heavy mask of invincibility that we allow genuine love and the grace of the universe to reach us. Pay close attention to how your relationships will transform under the clarity of this new light. Some people, those who fed off your constant need for approval, your readiness to put out other people's fires, and your tendency to put yourself second, may begin to distance themselves. And this will hurt for a brief moment, like the removal of a bandage. But understand deeply that they are not rejecting your true self. They are simply reacting to the loss of the convenient role you used to play in the theater of their lives. Let them go with absolute gratitude for everything they taught you about boundaries and self-respect. In turn, like a powerful magnet, you will begin to attract souls who vibrate at the same frequency as your new integrity. You will build relationships based not on codependency, drama, or the need for rescue, but on mutual respect, celebrating each other's victories, and the freedom to be authentic. People who don't want to fix you in any way, but who feel profound joy in sitting beside you on the grass, simply to admire the vastness of the starry sky in silence. And what about that famous purpose in life, that great and intimidating mystery that kept you awake at night? That incessant search for a grand meaning that would justify your existence on the planet. You will discover, possibly with an ironic smile of relief, that your purpose was never a distant destination to be reached at the cost of your sweat, or a golden trophy to be raised before the approval of an invisible crowd. Your purpose is simply your own lucid presence in the world. It is the whole way you listen to a friend's outpouring. It is the care with which you prepare a meal at the end of an exhausting day. It is the absolute integrity you bring to your daily work, however anonymous or simple it may seem in the eyes of society. The greatness of your journey will not be measured by the number of applauses, the amount accumulated in your bank account, or the prestige in the outside world, but solely and exclusively by the amount of peace you manage to sustain within yourself and radiate to all who have the privilege of crossing your path. The famous synchronicities you've questioned so much will become increasingly frequent and evident, but they will no longer appear as puzzles you frantically need to decipher to know if you're on the right path. They will manifest as small cosmic winks, gentle reminders that you are in the flow of creation. It will be a book that falls open exactly on the page, containing the phrase that would cure your anguish that afternoon. It will be a forgotten song playing on the radio that perfectly answers a silent question in your heart. It will be a casual and unexpected encounter on the street that completely changes the course of your professional project. You will learn to dance with these meaningful coincidences, moving with the graceful fluidity of someone who trusts in the invisible choreography of the universe. You will finally stop trying to force the river of your life to run faster than nature itself allows, and will allow yourself to float with the current with the absolute certainty that it always, invariably, flows into the immensity of the ocean. Remember that tightness in your chest that used to visit you almost every night, that lump in your throat that felt like lead. You'll understand that it was just the physical echo of your own resistance to the natural flow of life. When you finally let go of the illusion of control, your chest expands in a way that anatomy can't explain. The air enters pure, fresh, and life-giving. You begin to inhabit your physical body with a grounding and presence you've never experienced before. Every cell of your biology begins to vibrate with the absolute permission to exist, without the obligation to prove its worth to anyone, not even yourself. You realize you are worthy simply because you breathe and occupy a space in the cosmos. You accept that you are a constantly moving masterpiece, a unique and unrepeatable expression of the divine walking on earth, experiencing yourself through your eyes, your hands, and your heart, which now beats to the calm rhythm of unconditional acceptance. Your own body will witness this magnificent liberation. Those chronic tensions etched into your shoulders, the silent aches you carried as an unconscious tribute to daily stress, will begin to mysteriously dissipate. It's as if your cells, after a long and exhausting journey, are receiving the biological command to rest in peace after years of acting on the front lines of an invisible war waged against yourself. The emotional digestion of your history will no longer occur through the arduous effort of the logical mind that tries to rationalize and dissect everything, but through the heart that has finally learned the alchemy of transforming lead into gold, transforming chronic pain into elevated wisdom and sharp resentment into profound compassion. You will feel a new vitality, not that nervous, artificial and fleeting energy fueled by coffee and anxiety, but the force of a calm and constant river, which carves mountains not through brute aggression, but through the gentle persistence of someone who knows exactly where they are going. Even your perception of time will undergo a profound transformation. Before, you desperately raced against the clock, always late for some unspeakable existential commitment, always haunted by the agonizing feeling that life was slipping through your fingers and you weren't enjoying it enough, weren't producing enough, simply weren't being enough according to others' standards. Now, time dilates and bends before your tranquility. You realize, with absurd clarity, that the present moment is eternal and that there is no hurry when you are fully aligned with the compass of your spirit.